Real estate business, hurting New York City workers and tenants. Check out what real estate does.
Just read it. I really don't want to try and get so fast.
I have the honor of introducing some folks here today at this public educational event to educate the public about the horrible things that the Real Estate Board of New York is doing. We like to refer to them as the Real Estate Bullies of New York. We have some political candidates that have the courage to stand up against REBNY, the Real Estate Board of New York. The first person I'm going to introduce is David Eisenbach, who ran on the Democratic Party line for public advocate. This was his first campaign. He did a darn good job, and he's standing up against REBNY. He is a Columbia University history professor. David, can I bring you up to the mic?
Hi, my name is David Eisenbach. I ran for the first time this past summer in the Democratic primary for public advocate. I teach history at Columbia, but I decided that I just had to get involved because the city I love was disappearing. And then I knew another 4 years of the same policies with the same cast of characters, and it was going to be gone. Another 4 years of real estate giveaways, of our green spaces like Elizabeth Street Garden, of our libraries like Inwood Library, of hospitals like Beth Israel. And this is was being done and will be done over the next 4 years by a Democratic establishment. You saw in the last mayoral debate how Bill de Blasio wants to blame Donald Trump for everything. But it's not Donald Trump that's giving away our city to REBNY. It would only be done by the Democrats. Now, I'm a proud Democrat. I'm going to run as a proud Democrat in 4 years. But today I'm standing with Republicans. Because one thing about New York City makes it different. It's not about Democrat versus Republican. It's about honest versus dishonest. That's what we're standing up against right now. Now, one of the great learning experiences of this campaign for me was to see and understand the vast political corruption of the Democratic establishment that is going on right now in New York City. And it all goes back to REBNY. If you want to know why these big real estate giveaways are happening, why 8 different investigations into the mayor's pay-to-play corruption schemes went on without prosecution and without a single word from the public advocate, whose job it is to call out waste, corruption, and fraud in the government, why that happens? Well, they're part of the problem. They're part of the REBNY corruption scheme. It's a corruption scheme that has resulted in a democracy that is completely dysfunctional. We have 3 citywide races. The mayor did have some competition, but if I didn't run, the public advocate would not have had a challenger. Our comptroller did not have a challenger. This is not a sign of a healthy democracy. And it all goes back to REBNY's corruption. It's corruption that goes all the way from the top through the city council. We passed term limits some years ago, but what have we gotten in return? Every city council member appoints a successor, and they continue the REBNY-funded corruption. Well, there's one solution, and only one solution. It was given to us by the Founding Fathers, and it's called democracy. When you vote in November, don't just pull the lever for a Democrat just because they're a Democrat. Find out, are they accepting money from REBNY? And if they are, well, think twice about supporting that Democrat. That Democrat who, for sure, is going to sign on to a more pay-to-play corruption scheme that's going to turn the other way when City Hall wants to start giving away our parks, our hospitals, and our libraries. Think twice, vote smart, and crack down on the corruption in the voting booth, my friends. Democracy is the answer. And so I'm going to bring up 2 candidates right now who they're not on the REBNY pay-to-play corruption scheme. They're going to stand up, they're going to fight from every New Yorker, and I'm going to start with Patrick.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you. My name is Patrick Delices, and like David, I also taught at a collegiate institution. I was an adjunct professor at Hunter College, and I also taught at the College of New Rochelle and many more other collegiate institutions. I'm also an alumnus of Columbia University. I have 2 degrees from Columbia University. one in international economic management and policy, and the other one in higher ed administration. I also have an MBA from a top 10 business school here in New York, NYU Stern School of Business. Now, I decided to run for New York City Council in District 17 in the South Bronx for a variety of reasons. I want the South Bronx to be better and safer. So with your help, with your support, I want to build a safer, stronger, and better South Bronx. We're talking about corruption. We're talking about real estate developers, as one of my friends just indicated, that are steroids in terms of the development that's taking place in New York City. The South Bronx, where people keep dumping on, is a major site for these mega developers. When you look at the South Bronx, when you look at District 17, my district, you're looking at Hunts Point. HBO had a special on it called Hookers on the Point. When you look at my district, District 17, you're looking at 149th 3rd Avenue, what is called the Hub. You're looking at Longwood Avenue. You're looking at Yankee Stadium. You're looking at Sheridan Expressway. You're looking at something called Northern and Southern Brothers Island, which is part of Rikers Island. There's a lot of major development taking place in the South Bronx. And if the people in the South Bronx do not vote for me on November 7th, if they do not vote me in as their council person on November 7th, I guarantee you these mega developers who are on steroids will displace the people of the South Bronx like they did in Harlem, like they did in Do or Die Bed-Stuy, and like they did in Newark, New Jersey. They will move and get rid of the common man and woman out of the South Bronx, where people like ourselves cannot afford to live in the South Bronx, and they're moving towards that now. They're moving towards redeveloping the Sheridan Expressway. They're moving towards taking away Rikers Island. My district was known as Fort Apache because it is one of the most violent, crime-ridden districts in this nation. Recently, a woman was stabbed at the subway station at Prospect Avenue, a pregnant woman. The incumbent did not speak about it. The mayor did not speak about it. No one is speaking about it. Violence against women is repugnant and it's offensive. But no politician is speaking on it. The laws have not changed to protect women. You don't vote for me on November 7th, it is guaranteed crime in the South Bronx, and particularly crime against women, will be on the rise because the incumbent is not addressing it and he is not doing anything about it. Now, let's move to employment. The South Bronx, District 17, has one of the highest unemployment rates in this nation. My success rate in terms of bringing jobs and employment opportunities and training opportunities to students and to people in my community is impeccable. The incumbent has yet to bring jobs in the community. He has yet to bring employment opportunities to the people in District 17. The South Bronx is suffering from mega real estate developers pushing people out. You elect me, I will change all of that. It is guaranteed. The South Bronx has one of the highest illiteracy rates in this nation. They have yet to address school violence in the South Bronx. Forget about the fact that I'm running as a Republican. As David said, don't look at party affiliation. Look at the person's history. Look inside the person's heart. Look what I have done in the past to protect and preserve people in my community, to build a better and stronger and safer South Bronx. Check out my website, www.voteforpatrickdelices.com. If you don't fix crime in the South Bronx, I don't care what neighborhood you live in New York City. That crime will affect you as well. Support me, vote for Patrick Delices, November 17th, and I'm guarantee you, the Bronx will be safer, the Bronx will be better. I will inject jobs into South Bronx, get rid of these developers that are trying to push the common man and the common woman out of the South Bronx. I am strictly about the people. I'm not about special interests. I'm about doing the right thing for the people in the South Bronx. Again, vote for Patrick Delices, November 17th. Thank you so much.
We're glad to have candidate Patrick Delices here. And Patrick, you were hitting on some very important issues to the Bronx where you're running for city council. Can you reiterate a little bit about issues you raised about what we call hyper-gentrification and the way that REBNY is and the developers are really undermining the lives of millions of people in this city?
Hyper-gentrification is hitting the South Bronx. Make no mistakes about it. The New York Times about 2 weeks ago had an article about a gym opening in the South Bronx, and I used to be a former boxer. I cannot afford that gym. Why? Because that gym is owned and was developed by one of these guys. And that gym is pushing people out of the South Bronx. The parks in the South Bronx are deplorable. I love to exercise, and I can even exercise in my own parks in the South Bronx. Why? The park smells like urine, just like the subways. The park is filled with human and dog waste. The parks are filled with dirty needles because of drug addiction. But yet, these developers who have the finances, who have the resources, along with the politicians and the incumbent in the South Bronx in District 17, refuse to fix these issues for them. The right thing is about pushing you out of the South Bronx, like they did to many of us in Harlem. So the people in the South Bronx and the people in New York City must wake up and must understand this is beyond party politics. The incumbent, he's not about the people. He's about himself, and he's about these guys. He's about these special interests. The incumbent sold his soul to these people. The incumbent is endorsed by these people. I represent the people. I don't represent these guys. On November 7th, vote for Patrick Delices, vote for Frank Spotorno, and we will make New York a better city to live. We will bring New York back to its cultural richness. If you don't, it's doomsday. Take care.
Thank you, Patrick. Another round of applause for Patrick Delices.
Thank you.
Just want to emphasize one thing that Patrick said. Follow the money. If you want to know whether somebody is going to do REBNY's bidding, just look at their campaign contributors. And then you'll see whether they're going to do REBNY's bidding or they're going to protect our parks and our libraries and our cityscape and our small businesses. And these guys are just two of dozens of candidates this November who are standing up to REBNY and have refused to take any money for them. Consider voting for them this November. Now, in addition to Patrick, we have another candidate for office this November, Frank Spotorno. I'd like to introduce him right now. Frank, say a few words.
My name is Frank J. Spotorno. I was born in the Bronx, New York, and raised not too far away from here, Mulberry Street, New York. A stone throw away from Gracie Mansion. As a young kid, I used to play over here. But those days are long gone. The last 3 years, I've been on a campaign against the Real Estate Board of New York. I just don't talk the walk. I walk it. I've been throughout practically Queens, Brooklyn, mainly 5 Points, New York City, and parts of the Bronx. I've been in the faces of Tishman Speyer. I went onto these job sites. Not only did I want to see, oh, Sal's coming. My man Sal's here, look. Not only have I been in the faces of these shifty and shady developers, but I requested, as by law, the I-9 forms that is required on every job site when individuals are hired. We have a law in this country. When you hire someone on site for a period of 3 years, till they're done with the job site, the employer or subcontractors must hold the I-9 forms in their files. For the last couple of years, as I was infiltrating and going into face, especially with Tishman Speyer, he has refused to give me any of the I-9 forms that he has been hiring with these undocumented workers. Now, why am I taking on this campaign? For 37 years, I've been a member of the United Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners of America. Here is my card. 37 years, United Brotherhood of Carpenters and Joiners of America. 37 years, and my dues is paid to 12/31/2018. For the last 8 years, I've been given a card by the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. I am an honorary Teamster, given by Jimmy Hoffa. Teamster, honorary Teamster, I fight for labor. I not only fight for labor in New York City, I've been to Vegas, I've been to Florida, I've been to DC, and we're gonna do a hell of a job in New York City. New York City again will be union strong. Now, what we have to tackle are the shifty and shady developers and open shop contractors who are taking advantage of the undocumented workers. Not only are they taking advantage of the undocumented workers, it's putting a downward pressure not on union labor, but on all those companies who go by all the labor laws, the occupational safety laws. It's called the Area Standard Wages and Benefits. Tishman Speyer and his crony crew in the last couple of years have taken nearly $1 billion from the independent development agencies, promised to give good paying jobs, mostly to union jobs, build affordable housing. None of these affordable housing has ever taken place. And in doing so, the money that this mayor and the council and the state and the governor and the state government has allocated REBNY, the Real Estate Board of New York, to build these homes with qualified, reputable employees. He has stabbed us in the back. He signed agreements that he was going to build union strong. And he lied. I confronted Mr. Speyer in his office at 5 Points. As I went into his office, he ran for the hills. I would go on to every job site. I would request the I-9 form. I'm at the end of my working career, but my son is a Teamster. My wife is a Teamster. I have thousands of fellow members of the building trades who are on the chopping block. What I mean by the chopping block, while they're waiting for the phone calls to ring, Tishman Speyer are hiring unqualified companies to build out skyrises. I just want to see a fair play for a fair game for all New Yorkers who deserve a piece of the American pie. How can you build that building advertisements by our highest employees at $13, $14, $15 an hour. That is nowhere near the occupational trade that is in the law of our New York State labor laws. He's paying them well below the occupational trade wage and standard and benefits as per New York State labor laws. Many people say, Frankie, why are you against right to work? I'm going to tell you why, and I'm a Republican. Right to work is killing the middle class. Every time you hire somebody for $10, $12 an hour, the middle class man can't afford to live on $10, $12, $13 an hour. And all those legal residents and all those green card holders who happen to be non-union, they have to accept the same wages as the undocumented workers. That's right. So where are we going? The real estate board of New York, they are the puppeteers for Mayor de Blasio and the whole 51 city council members. I want to introduce a man who's running for mayor of New York, Sal Albanese.
Here he is! The crowd went wild!
You guys,
Let me say that Frank Spotorno is my favorite Republican. We need Frank on the city council instead of those phony progressives that we have that are in the pocket of big real estate. And I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank Ray Rogers and his organization for putting this together, because Ray has a history of standing up for working people all over America. And I'm honored to be part of his team and part of his effort to basically, let's hear it for Ray Rogers. What a history. You know, some of our labor leaders, I hate to say this, I'm pro-union, but some of our labor leaders unfortunately sell out. That's part of the problem that we have in America. Part of the reason why the erosion of labor unions is front and center. Ray Rogers has never, ever sold out. He's always stood for working people. Ray, once again, it's an honor to be with you. Listen, no industry should have a chokehold on our politics. Here in New York State, the Real Estate Board of New York obviously owns the state legislature, owns the city council, and we know that they own the mayor. The city's actually being sold out from under us. It's being sold out that it soon will be a landing strip for billionaires. Neighborhoods are being cleared out by luxury housing. A lot of it being bought up by foreign investors who park their money here. I'm going to be able to pass a tax so that those folks that buy luxury real estate in New York City will be taxed at a higher level if they want to buy here. We could put that money into affordable housing so we can build 100% affordable housing so working people can stay in their neighborhoods. From Crown Heights to Inwood to East Harlem to Washington Heights, all over the city, real estate is basically buying up these properties. Speculation is at an all-time high, and people are being displaced, winding up in city shelters. And by the way, as Frank pointed out, these luxury buildings are being built by non-union workers. They've actually, unfortunately, led to the death of about 30 over the last 2 years. They're not being paid properly. The safety standards aren't there. And union labor is being eroded in New York City. It used to be that every project in the city was labor built. Now it's less than 50%. It's a shame on New York. We know it's happening across the country. We got to hold the line here. And we need legislators who are not going to be indebted to big real estate and their lobbyists. As many of you know, I'm not accepting any money from real estate developers or lobbyists. All of our money comes from good government folks, people that are interested in building New York City for all of us, not just for the elite. And we've got a number of proposals.
And I see David Eisenbach here, who ran for public advocate. David and I have been working on a number of proposals to reform our corrupt political system so we can stop REBNY and other deep-pocketed interests from actually owning our politicians. We got a plan called Democracy Vouchers, where every New Yorker will get a mini rebate and they can donate that to anyone running for office. Everybody gets the same little mini rebate, whether you're a billionaire or you're working as a school teacher. Bottom line is, we want to equalize the process and we want to really bring democracy back to New York. And we want to stop bundling from REBNY. We want to stop bundling from lobbyists. We want to stop bundling from people who do business with the city. None of this will change unless we change our political system. And not one of these people in office supports changing our political system. Staying in office to these guys is more important than taking care of people. We want to pass lobbying reform, nonpartisan elections. We want to make New York City a mecca of political reform so people can look at the city and say, you know, the state government is broken, the federal government is broken, that we are in the process of building a real democracy, which get a ripple effect across the country. This is a great day. I'm happy to be here with some of the great leaders in New York City. They're true leaders, not the frauds that are across the street. And I want to work with you to build a New York that is for everybody, not just for billionaires and not just for the real estate industry. Thank you and have a great, great afternoon.
Future mayor! I said, Sal!